What's up with y'all? By now y'all know I'm about to say I got this amazing mic. In these other videos it keeps being quiet. I think it's because I'm really far away. I don't got the, mic stand and whatnot. So I'm gonna try to, be as close as I can to the mic. But today we got impossible cold cases solved by accident. Not only that, it's 2 a.m. again. Let's get right into it. I'm gonna start it over.
A construction crew was digging when they accidentally solved a kidnapping. A notorious fugitive was caught because he had car problems on the wrong road. A killer stayed hidden for 17 years until an incident at Walmart changed everything. These are impossible cold cases solved by accident. The goal, guys, is 2.5 million subscribers by the end of 2026, and it is crazy, so it would mean the world if you subscribe, and I promise to do my very best for you, put out the best videos I possibly can. I'm Visual Venture, and you are awesome. The wrong word that cost her freedom. When police first looked into this case, they thought they were wasting their time because the crime didn't look like a crime. It looked like a normal family tragedy. Then someone accidentally said the wrong word, and suddenly police realized they might be hunting a serial killer. The story began with a husband and wife. The wife was named Stacy. Her husband was named Michael. The couple had 2 daughters, but behind closed doors, the marriage was falling apart. Michael struggled with substances and alcohol. No matter how hard he tried, he could not stop. Over time, the relationship grew cold and distant. They barely spent time together. Eventually, they decided to get divorced. But before the separation became official, tragedy struck. Michael suddenly passed away. He was only 38. Stacy claimed she found him lifeless inside their home. His body was taken to a hospital where a doctor determined that Michael passed away from a heart attack. But the idea of a healthy 38-year-old man having a heart attack didn't make sense to his friends and family, especially Michael's sister, Rosie. Rosie wanted an autopsy done on her late brother's body, but Stacy refused.
Stacy, are you going to have an autopsy? She looked at me and she says, Rosie, he didn't like being cut up in surgery and everything like that. She says, no.
Stacy pushed hard to stop the autopsy, and in the end, she got her way. No autopsy was performed. At the time, police had no reason to suspect foul play, so there was no criminal investigation. Soon after, Stacy collected a $55,000 payout from Michael's life insurance policy. Then she moved on with her life. But another tragedy.
I think that's a stupid reason because, at the end of the day, the person's not alive no more. If you think there was foul play, why would you not do the autopsy? You know what I'm saying? Might as well do it.
He was already waiting around the corner.
See, why does his mic... I got to be hella close to my shit. You see what I'm saying? My shit is right here if you can't see it.
About a year later, Stacy met a man named David Castor. The two got married in August 2003, but the new family had problems from the start. Remember, Stacy had 2 daughters from her previous marriage. David did not want to be a father figure to Stacy's kids.
He said he didn't want to be our father and he didn't want any part of being a father. He already had his kids and he didn't want more.
Obviously, Stacy didn't like that. Then 2 years into their marriage, another tragedy occurred. In August 2005, Stacy called 911 in panic. She told them her husband David locked himself inside their bedroom and refused to come out.
I'm just getting a little concerned because I haven't talked to him since 5 o'clock.
Hold on, why are they even together? If the dude don't want no more kids, she got 2 more kids, she don't like that, the guy don't want no more kids, just break up. That's the end of the story.
In the morning on Sunday when he locked me out of the bedroom.
Police arrived soon after. They forced the bedroom door open. Inside, they found David lifeless. Then investigators noticed something strange under the bed. It was a bottle of antifreeze.
There was a bottle of antifreeze that was on its side with a top off.
Antifreeze is a toxic chemical normally used in vehicles. Police also found 2 glasses on the nightstand. One contained juice in it. The other glass had antifreeze. The medical examiner later confirmed that David had antifreeze in his system. It was pretty obvious what happened, but the police still questioned Stacy about the glasses. Stacy explained that she poured David a glass of cranberry juice before he locked himself inside. That accounted for 1 glass, but she claimed she had nothing to do with the antifreeze in the bedroom. Based on her story, it seemed like David did it to himself. And at the time, investigators could not prove otherwise. Once again, Stacy...
Now, why would anybody pour antifreeze into a glass cup that people drink out of? They wouldn't do it. It's that simple. They wouldn't do it.
Inherited everything from her deceased husband. The case looked closed, but one detective couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. His name was Detective Spinelli, and he had doubts about Stacy's story.
My gut was telling me that there was something more going on with this. It just wasn't right.
Spinelli pulled the file on Stacy's first husband, Michael. He compared it with David's case, and he noticed disturbing similarities. Both men passed away suddenly. Both were buried side by side in the same cemetery. Spinelli suspected that Michael passed away from the same chemical as David. There was only one way to know for sure.
That's to dig him up, to exhume the body. But this would be hugely controversial.
Michael's remains were dug up and tested. Investigators found traces of antifreeze in his system, just like David. Still, this only proved both men drank the chemical. It didn't prove Stacy gave it to them. The detective needed concrete proof, so he brought Stacy in for questioning. During the interview, he showed her a picture of the two glasses on the nightstand. Then he asked, "Do you remember which glass it was you poured the cranberry juice in?" Stacy looked at the photo, and then she made a mistake. She said, "Well, I poured the the cranberry juice." She tried to correct herself immediately, but it was too late. That one accidental word changed everything.
What a dumbass.
Those of us that were watching the interview went, "Oh my God." That was a Freudian slip that she couldn't control.
Stacy insisted it was just a slip of the tongue. She accused the detective of trying to frame her and stop the interview. At that point, the pressure was closing in. Stacy was desperate to prove her innocence, so she made one final desperate move. Stacy decided to blame everything on her own daughter, Ashley. A few days later, she slipped sleeping pills into Ashley's drink. The pills were meant to end her life. After Ashley passed out, Stacy placed a typed confession letter beside her.
In the letter, Ashley confesses to the murders of David Castor and Michael Wallace, her own father, giving intricate details as to how she went about poisoning them.
Then Stacy called 911. She told police she found her daughter unconscious. She also said Ashley left a note confessing to both crimes. But Stacy's plan failed. Ashley survived, and she told police that she never wrote that letter confessing to the crimes. Since the letter was typed, investigators checked Stacy's computer, and they found drafts of the confession letter. The timestamps showed the letter was written while Ashley was away at school. The evidence was overwhelming. Stacy was arrested. In 2009, she was found guilty of murdering both husbands and attempting to end her daughter. She was sentenced to over
some people just crazy and can't be helped.
51 years in prison. The criminal in our next chapter wrote his secret on a piece of paper, and then the wrong person read it. The man who talked himself into jail. When Jonelle Matthews was kidnapped, the case became national news. Even the president mentioned it in a speech.
5 days before Christmas, Jonelle disappeared from her home.
But all that publicity did not solve the case. For 35 years, no one knew where Jonelle was. Then a construction crew made a random discovery that unraveled the mystery. Jonelle Matthews vanished in 1984. She was only 12. She lived with her family in Greeley, Colorado. One night, her father came home and found the house empty.
Did it occur to you that maybe she had run away?
No, because I know my daughter well enough.
He called the police. Officers searched the house, but they found no signs of a struggle. But they found a clue outside in the snow.
The only physical evidence were those footprints in the fresh snow.
Whoever did it tried to rake their footprints.
Someone walked around the house and used a garden rake to hide their tracks. Police kept the rake detail a secret. They hoped to use it to identify the person responsible later. Meanwhile, Jonelle's photo was printed on milk cartons across the country. But even with national attention, investigators still had no leads. The case went cold. Then one man claimed he might know something. His name was Steve Pankey.
A month after Jonelle's disappearance, Pankey suddenly inserted himself directly into the middle of this case.
But the more Pankey talked, the stranger his story became. And instead of looking helpful, he started looking suspicious. Around the time Jonelle disappeared, Steve Pankey lived just a few miles from her home. He reportedly reached out to investigators.
I contacted the Fort Collins FBI office
and volunteered some information about Jonelle's disappearance.
But his reason for coming forward was strange. Pankey said he was worried someone might try to frame him.
He shared the information with the FBI because he feared that somehow someone might be trying to implicate him in Janelle's murder.
He claimed his father-in-law was a groundskeeper at a cemetery. And according to Pankey, his father-in-law told him something disturbing.
He told me that a cop had contacted him and said that he had a body he wanted to be buried.
But the story led nowhere. Years passed, and still nobody knew where Jonelle was. In 1994, 10 years after she disappeared, Jonelle was officially declared deceased. 10 years later, in July 2019, an oil crew was digging a pipeline in a remote field. Their equipment struck human remains buried in the ground. Tests later confirmed the remains belonged to Jonelle Matthews, and the discovery happened completely by accident.
Had it been just a little higher, a half a foot deeper, no one would have ever seen her. Is divine intervention, that's all it is.
But now investigators had a new question. Who was responsible? Detectives reopened the old case files. They reviewed witness statements and rebuilt their list of suspects. One name stood out, Steve Pankey. After Jonelle's remains were found, detectives interviewed Steve Pankey's ex-wife. She told them that Pankey acted strangely after Jonelle disappeared. According to her, Pankey forced their family to leave town 2 days after the kidnapping. During the drive, he made her scan radio stations for news about the missing girl. He also stopped to buy newspapers so he could follow the case. Then she remembered something even stranger. Years earlier, she found a piece of paper Pankey wrote. It was in the trash.
And one of the things notated in his handwriting on this piece of legal paper was snow outside the Matthews house was raked.
Police were stunned. How did Pankey know the kidnapper raked the snow to cover his footprints?
Prosecutors say only the Matthews family, investigators, and presumably the killer knew about them. But apparently Pankey knew.
Then the ex-wife shared one more disturbing memory. Years after Jonelle vanished, Pankey's own son passed away. At the funeral, she claimed Pankey made a shocking comment. "I hope God didn't allow this to happen because of Jonelle Matthews." That sounded like someone with a guilty conscience. The police had enough evidence. Pankey was arrested. After a long trial,
some people just can't shut up, man. Like, if you do some, hush hush.
He was found guilty and sentenced to life in prison.
Or
the
just
criminal
don't
internet
do it, you know? Like, the world would be so much better if you just didn't do the bad stuff that people be doing. Like, imagine if he never did that.
Chapter escaped for 17 years and then threw his freedom away because of a text message. The case of the Walmart ghost. A man committed a crime and escaped justice for years. Police had nothing on him. They didn't even know he was connected to the case. For 17 years, he lived a quiet life. Then one day, he walked into a police station and confessed. And he did it because he accidentally received a message meant for someone else. The crime happened in Bullhead City, Arizona. In 1997, a 38-year-old woman went missing. 5 days later, her body was found near the Colorado River. It was clear someone ended her life. Investigators questioned people in the area, but they found very little evidence. After months with no real leads, the case went cold. Meanwhile, a man named...
Nah, I'm so dead ass. I genuinely need to stop making these videos so late. I'm be tired as hell.
And Matthew Gibson's quietly left Arizona. Matthew moved to North Carolina. There he stayed out of trouble. He never even got a parking ticket. For 17 years, police had no idea he was connected to the case. Then Matthew accidentally put the spotlight on himself. In early 2014, Matthew started receiving strange messages on his phone. They were from his local Walmart. Each message said the same thing. Walmart had a prescription ready for a woman named Anita Townshend. Matthew didn't know anyone named Anita Townshend. At first, it seemed like a simple mistake, but then he searched the name online. What he found terrified him.
He had found on the internet that Anita Townshend had been murdered.
He wondered why he was receiving text messages meant for a murder victim. The Walmart messages kept coming, each one telling Anita Townshend to pick up her prescription. Matthew never responded. Soon, Walmart started sending voicemails about the prescription. Matthew became paranoid. There was one reason the messages scared him so much. Matthew was the killer. When Matthew committed the crime in 1997, he didn't know the name of the woman he ended. So when he saw the name Anita Townshend, he convinced himself she must have been the victim. Then something even stranger happened. Matthew received a Walmart advertisement in his mail. To anyone, it would look like junk mail, but to Matthew, it felt connected. The text messages were from Walmart, the voicemails were from Walmart, and now the mail was from Walmart too. His paranoia led him to the conclusion that someone knew about the 17-year-old murder and was playing mind games with him.
He thought someone that was out to put a hit on him was in the parking lot. He was that paranoid.
The fear completely took over, so Matthew decided to solve the problem once and for all. In June 2014, Matthew barged into a police station. Then he started confessing before anyone even questioned him.
Hello? I committed a murder
Committed a murder.
many years ago. It happened in Bullhead City.
The detective listened carefully. Then she contacted Bullhead City Police. She needed to know if Matthew's story matched any unsolved case from 1997. It did. Police questioned Matthew again. This time he gave them more details. He said he met the woman on the night of the crime. He brought her back to his home. Then the two got into an argument. It turned violent.
I wanted her to leave. Her name I did not know. So I was gonna knock her out and put her outside. Okay.
Matthew also told police about the strange messages he was getting from Walmart. He believed the woman he ended was named Anita Townshend. That was when officers told him the truth. Anita Townshend was not Matthew's victim. In fact, Anita had nothing to do with the case. Police weren't even sure if Anita was a real person.
We don't know if an Anita Townshend ever existed. We looked, we weren't able to find anyone by that name.
So why was her name in the Walmart messages? According to one report, it was just a mix-up. The prescription alerts were meant for someone else. Police arrested Matthew. He pleaded guilty. And after 17 years of...
Man, the Lord did that on purpose. I don't know why, but he did it on purpose.
freedom, he was sentenced to 10 years in prison. The man in our next chapter got away with murder, and the thing that finally exposed him had absolutely nothing to do with the case. The cop hunter. A criminal who attacks a police officer gets hunted down by practically the whole police force. But one man took a police officer's life and escaped. He hid for years, and then he was exposed by the one person he felt safest around. The crime happened in Atlanta in 1971. 27-year-old police officer James Green was working the night shift. He was at a gas station when two men jumped him. The men didn't know James personally. They were members of a group with radical beliefs, and some members of that group believed in using violence against the police. The two men attacked the officer, stole his badge and weapon, and ran. Officer Green didn't survive. When other police officers heard what happened, they were furious. Dozens of officers hit the street searching for the attackers. During the search, they found a younger member of the same group named Samuel Cooper. Samuel admitted he knew the attackers. He gave the police their names, Twyman Myers and Freddie Hilton. The detectives were making their case, but they were too late. But before the two attackers could be arrested, they left Atlanta. But the police didn't give up. They were determined to find the man who murdered their colleague, no matter how long it took. The two fugitives, Twyman and Freddie, tried to keep a low profile. But life on the run wasn't easy. After a few years, Twyman slipped up, and he lost his life during a shootout with the police. But the second man, Freddie Hilton, disappeared. He moved to New York and changed his name to Kamau. And for the next 30 years, investigators had no idea where he was. Freddie built a new life under his fake name. He found a steady job at a phone company. Later, he got a girlfriend. Then he moved in with her and her daughter. But they weren't one big happy family. Freddie secretly acted inappropriately with the daughter. Eventually, the girl told her mother what was happening. The mom
Nigga, are we serious? At first, I was about to say, wow, man, look at this guy. He's about to kill somebody and then move to New York, get away with it. But no, this dumbass nigga is finna start touching on this fucking girl's child like the weird ass nigga he is. I can't believe the amount of weirdos we have in this world. Like, can you believe, like, there's like a 90% chance you have a pedophile in your neighborhood, a registered one. Imagine all the unregistered ones. Imagine the people who murder somebody and never, got caught for it. That's probably way less, but there's a lot of pedophiles out there, man. Keep your kids safe.
immediately sought help.
In 2001, a woman and her daughter enter the 69th precinct in Brooklyn, New York, looking to talk to a cop.
The woman reported Freddie to the officers. He was arrested. Remember, Freddie was using a fake name, Kamau, so investigators ran a background check on that name. The computer showed no criminal history. In fact, he appeared to be an upstanding citizen. But during the arrest, officers found an illegal weapon on him. Investigators interrogated him about the weapon. And during the questioning, he finally admitted the truth.
He told me that his real name was Freddie Hilton.
The moment he said that name, the case changed completely. Detectives typed the name Freddie Hilton into the national database. An alert popped up. He was wanted by the Atlanta Police Department for the attack on Officer James. New York officers informed Atlanta that he was in custody, but 30 years had passed since the crime. So when Atlanta detectives set out to find more evidence to put Freddie behind bars.
My goals were to meet and find ex-Black Liberation Army members and interview them to see if they could recall and back up some of the story that I had about Freddie Hilton.
He tracked down 3 of Freddie's old group members. All 3 confirmed Freddie was the attacker.
The BLA statements are consistent and detailed enough to support a charge of...
After decades on the run, Freddie was sent back to Atlanta. In 2003, he was found guilty and sentenced to life in prison. The woman in our next chapter hid a secret for 25 years.
Well, you know, at least he got out for 30 years. You know, he got away with it for 30 years. Now he's finna be in jail for the rest of his life.
Years until her own family accidentally exposed her. The DNA test.
Nah, I ain't gonna lie. Ain't it crazy how, like, a cop, a person who's just like you and me, you, we the same person for real, just like a cop, that man can put you in handcuffs and put you in jail like you're a dog in a cage. Like, what? Not only that, like, people, I don't know. I'm not...
That solved a cold case.
I'm not even going to talk about it.
In 2024, a 23-year-old woman revealed a family secret on TikTok.
Get ready with me while I tell you about how an Ancestry DNA kit is putting my grandma in prison.
Her grandma was connected to a cold case in Michigan. For 25 years, police had no idea who committed the crime. Then, a random DNA test accidentally gave police the answer. The mystery began.
First of all, if you did a murder and you know you did a murder, why are you doing a DNA test? To anything, no matter what it is.
Began in the summer of 1997 in Michigan. Workers at the Garnett Lake campground were cleaning an outdoor toilet. As they pumped out the waste, their suction machine suddenly stopped working. Something inside was blocking it. The workers opened the toilet to see what was stuck inside. They realized it was the remains of a newborn. Police rushed to the campground. This was a serious crime, but officers had no leads. Nobody knew who the baby was or who left her there. The local community was devastated, so people came together to honor the baby.
The close-knit community surrounding the campground named the baby Baby Garnett and gave her a proper burial at the local cemetery.
After the burial, the baby was known as Baby Garnett. People hoped the memorial would make someone come forward, but nobody did. No one admitted anything. No suspect was identified. And as the years passed, the case slowly went cold. 20 years passed. Around 2022, a new sheriff decided to take another look at the case. This time, police had access to advanced DNA technology, so they sent Baby Garnett's DNA to a forensic lab. The goal was to build a family tree from the baby's DNA, and then connect that DNA to a living relative. It worked. The lab found a match. The baby was related to a young woman named Jenna Jaratowski. Jenna's DNA was in the system because she took an ancestry test.
I bought one. It's literally you spit in a tube, you swab your mouth, you send it in, and they give you your ancestry results.
One afternoon at work, a Michigan detective called Jenna's phone.
And he was like, I just want to let you know that I reopened a cold case from like 25 years ago. And he was like, and your DNA is a direct match to the victim of this case.
She asked the detective what case he was talking about.
I was like, what case? And he was like, you've heard of the Baby Garnett case, right? And I was like,
The detective explained they were trying to find out who abandoned the baby, and it was probably someone related to Jenna. Police did a DNA test on Jenna's mom. The results narrowed the search even more.
And ended up finding out that it's not a distant relative to my mom, but a direct relative.
Eventually, police cracked the case. They discovered the baby Garnett's mother was Jenna's grandmother, Nancy. She was the one who abandoned the child at the campground over 20 years ago. In July 2022, police arrested the 60-year-old Nancy. After questioning her, investigators pieced together what happened that night. They believed Nancy gave birth at home and that the baby was alive after birth. However, there were complications.
Prosecutors believe she was born at home and died of asphyxiation, but could have been saved with medical intervention.
Detectives believed the baby could have survived if Nancy called for emergency help, but for some reason, she never did. Instead, Nancy drove 20 miles out of town and left the baby at the campground. But Nancy's defense team disagreed with that version of events. Her lawyers claimed the baby didn't survive the delivery. They also explained why Nancy never called for help.
Her defense argues that Nancy didn't have access to a telephone to call 911.
Both sides told very different stories in court, but they agreed on one key fact. Nancy left baby Garnett at the campground, and that was a crime. Nancy's case is still in court. If found guilty, she could spend the rest of her life behind bars. 2 years after the arrest, Jenna decided to share her family's secret on TikTok. The video got over 15 million views. This next chapter is about a cold case that sat unsolved for 18 years until a random neighborhood complaint accidentally exposed the killer. The case of the Peeping Tom. In August 1980,
put that nigga in jail.
1986, a senseless tragedy occurred in Edmond, Oklahoma. One night, Gary Larson was at home with his girlfriend. Suddenly, he heard strange noises coming from one of the rooms. Gary got out of bed to investigate. He realized that someone cut through a window screen.
The screen was cut in an L shape. From top to bottom. Not a big opening.
But the torn window wasn't the real problem. The intruder was still in the house. Before Gary could react, the intruder jumped him. Gary's fiancée saw it all happen. She was also harmed, but survived. After the intruder left, she called the cops, but help arrived too late. Gary didn't survive. Police searched the house for clues, and they found something. A footprint.
You can see the big toe here, and the next toes, following toes, right in here, and then down this way would be the backside of the foot.
This proved the intruder was barefoot during the attack, but they had no way of knowing who that footprint belonged to. After 4 years of investigating, they found nothing. It became a cold case, and the photo of the footprint just sat in a file for 18 years. In 2004, there was another crime a short distance from the house where Gary lost his life. A boy was in the bathroom when he saw someone staring through the window. He screamed, ran out, and told his dad.
So my son was back here to take a shower and, looked up through this window and said he saw a man.
The father was determined to catch the Peeping Tom, so he set up a motion detector outside the bathroom window. If anyone came near the window again, the alarm would go off. 4 weeks later, it did. The father ran outside, and there, hiding near the bathroom window, was a barefoot man.
There's this 6'2", 250-pound, 38-year-old man standing back here in the bushes looking in the bathroom window.
He grabbed the man and held him until police arrived. The Peeping Tom was named Jonathan Graham. At first, police thought he was just a local nuisance who liked looking through windows. But soon they realized Jonathan was...
I ain't gonna lie, put some respect on that father's fucking name. Put some respect on his name. That man set up a motion detector. Waited 4 weeks. That's a month. Waited 1 month. He heard it go off, ran outside. He said, "You staying with me." Grabbed him. Said, "You ain't going nowhere." And look at him. He ain't that small of a dude. He pretty big. He said, "You ain't going nowhere. You waiting for the police." And he sure did.
Far more dangerous. One of the officers involved in the Peeping Tom case wanted to see exactly where Jonathan was hiding to look through the window. So he went to the house and walked through the yard. As soon as he looked around, he realized something. He was in the same neighborhood where Gary lost his life.
Mind flashes back to a crime scene 18 years cold. A suspected Peeping Tom, a torn screen, bare footprints etched in blood.
He realized this Peeping Tom, Jonathan, was also barefoot when he was caught. The details started lining up. Could Jonathan be the same barefoot intruder that ended Gary 18 years ago? There was one way to find out. Police took impressions of Jonathan's bare feet. They compared it to the footprint from Gary's house.
I was able to locate enough unique identifiers that I could say that this latent impression was made by the same source.
The prints matched.
This is the foot that so many people looked for 18 years.
In 2005, Jonathan pleaded guilty to several crimes, including the one against Gary Larson. The judge sentenced him to life in prison. This next chapter is about a fugitive who escaped for 28 years, but was caught because of a routine traffic stop. The expired license plate. Fugitives on the FBI's most wanted list are usually the hardest to find, but one of them was caught in the simplest way possible. There was no FBI raid or undercover operation. This fugitive was caught because he drove down the wrong road. The fugitive we're talking about was named Muhammad. When he was just a teenager, he ended someone's life. His victim wasn't a stranger. It was Muhammad's close friend, Jaffer Tucker. The crime happened at a train station in Atlanta. Muhammad and Jaffer were standing together on the platform. Then, for reasons that are still unclear, Muhammad attacked him. After the crime, Muhammad ran. He fled Georgia and moved to South Carolina. There, he started a new life under a fake name, Raiz Sekim. For years, the FBI had no idea where he was hiding. They searched.
Yo, how easy is it to kill somebody, get on a plane, and then just change your name? How easy is it to change your name? Unlawful flight to avoid. Nah, I ain't gonna lie though, that's insane.
Manipulated his photo and offered a reward for information leading to his arrest. But the tips never came. 1 year passed, then 10, then 20. Eventually, 28 years went by, and FBI was no closer to catching Muhammad. Then after nearly 3 decades on the run, he ended up in the wrong place at the wrong time. On August 16, 2022, a deputy in Georgia was monitoring traffic for expired license plates. As cars passed by, her scanner automatically checked each registration. Then one vehicle triggered an alert. The registration was expired, so the deputy pulled the driver over. The entire stop was recorded on the officer's body cam. The driver handed over his identification. The name on the ID was Raiz Sekim. When the deputy checked his records, she found more problems. His license was suspended. His car also had no insurance. That meant she had to arrest him.
Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to.
How do you get a license under a fake name? Can you genuinely just change your name?
Place you in custody today.
The driver begged her to let him go. He claimed he had a family emergency.
Sir, I did not know. I have children, I have a sick uncle, and I run the household.
But the deputy followed procedure. She placed him in handcuffs. At the jail, officers began the normal booking process. They scanned his fingerprints. That scan revealed his real identity.
A fingerprint check at the jail identified Sekim as Mohammed Bilal Amin, wanted for the fatal shooting of 18-year-old Jaffer Tucker.
The officers were stunned.
What do you mean shooting? I thought it just said that he got pushed in front of a train.
What started as a routine traffic stop had turned into the arrest of an FBI fugitive. The next day, the headlines read, "Man wanted for nearly 28 years in Atlanta murder finally captured during routine traffic stop." Once officers realized who he was, Muhammad was sent back to Atlanta to face charges. He's currently awaiting trial as of this video. These criminals spent decades looking.
That's crazy. He almost got away too. See, that's people's problem. Like, how you finna do something and not be on edge? Like, I'd be on edge for the rest of my life, no matter what. Like, what do you mean you had like, your license is expired, your tags are expired? Like, come on, bro.
Looking over their shoulder, waiting for the moment it all fell apart. They built their own prison before they even got caught. So my friends, make sure you build a life that you don't have to hide from.
Nah,
Visual
for real.
venture.
Nah, he real though.
Wait, before you go.
Nah. Before we go, 1 second. Alright, well, from what I'm looking at, I don't know if you can. I don't know how hard it is for you to change your name, but it's kind of... That's crazy to me. Like, how you finna just move somewhere and change your first and last name? Get an ID. Like, I feel like you need a little bit more than just what's your name. Like, don't you need, like, proof of identification? Oh. Wait, that's low key is kind of easy. What if you just go on Amazon, first last name, the fake one, get a fake do that twice. Do that twice. And then you can go in the DMV, get you like a permit or something, and then that's proof of identification. Wow. Living in the US is crazy. Have a good day though.